Today's video is sponsored by our good friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as our friends at Docking Bay 94, located in Boca Raton, Florida. Check us out on comicsandgames.com. And EGS Expert Grading Services, the Gen X place to get your comics graded and encased, shipping nationwide. And welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New to Hero 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You. Now, we just completed a recap of issue number 284, where we get our whole cast of new Joes and how they're currently dealing with the new Cobra villain. Now, I've been covering IDW for the past several years, as my regulars know, and I don't recall a time period, as it's been the past year and a half, where IDW has offered extra bonus content. Now, this is why I encourage people to get back into GIJoe and actually build a relationship with your LCS, your local comic store, because you can't cover all of the secret stuff that comes out, and sometimes it's a surprise. So luckily, I have Famous Faces and Funnies and Docking Bay 94 who are able to cover all the grounds that I may have missed, and because they know of my particular taste, they're able to pull or order and then put it in my folder at the end of the month. So this extra bonus is a complete reprint of Yearbook number 2 that first came out in 1986. Right off the bat, the cover art is phenomenal. We'll get more into that in a bit. So in the past few years, IDW has regularly issued a yearbook, and it all began with the 2019 yearbook. This was a completely original story, and then there was another story in the back where it actually had the continuation of GIJoe the movie. Now, nothing has come from that, sadly, but it was kind of like a whet the appetite, like this is going to be a future series that's coming out. But for some reason, I don't know what happened to that. I guess I'll ask some of my friends that work at IDW what is the scoop behind that, because it was a pretty interesting story, whether you like GIJoe the movie or not. You know, it was kind of interesting how, if a third season from Sunbow came, what would have happened. So, you know, that was pretty good. We saw Duke, he was bedridden, having nightmares of, you know, Cobra Law and all that nonsense, but still, it was intriguing enough for someone who didn't like GIJoe the movie, like me and HCC 788. You know, we've gone on record, we're saying we not like the movie, but we know there's a lot of people that do. So whatever side of the fence you're on, it was interesting. And the first story was about the Arashikage clan, and we had like what is left of the Arashikage clan coming together, kind of like strengthening their bonds going forward. Storm Shadow is, of course, at the head, with Granny, who's the matriarch of the Arashikage clan, plus Sean Collins, who has taken on the mantle of Snake Eyes, and Dawn Marino, who's also taken on the mantle of Snake Eyes, both there as they fight a whole bunch of Revenge robots that are coming to assassinate, because Revenge has identified that they are the biggest threat in the entire world to their kind of Skynet type of takeover of everything. The next offering, and I've covered this, again, all of this stuff I've covered in previous episodes, but I'm just giving a recap of all these extra goodies that I was able to pick up, and I just wanted to share. Even if you're new to the channel, you know, you may want to go back and see if you could find these things, because they're worthwhile to get. The second offering was the Complete Silent, which is basically a reprint of issue number 21, and also a special 21.5 that was illustrated by the late Jeremy Dale. When you see them all together, you know, it is phenomenal. It is a complete 360 degrees of the iconic issue number 21. And if you've been watching the channel, I finally got my issue number 21 newsstand variant graded, and it was one of the things that I've been after. And that leads to the fact that why this is a very good option. Issue number 21 is skyrocketing. It's getting way out of certain people's price ranges. I think a 9.8 could yield about maybe $2,000 to $3,000. Yeah, you heard me right. A 9.8 newsstand of the same issue that I have can net about close to $3,000 at this point. And I did an episode where how many in the past 8 months how GI Joe comics have skyrocketed, and it is getting ridiculous. But that's what it is, because all of these new modern comic people, they're looking for things. They're like, they see, oh, this is such an important issue, and old guys like me preaching how important these issues are, so they're picking it up, driving the prices up. But again, this is a great, great alternative to actually having issue number 21. It comes in a high gloss paper, beautiful, expensive paper, just that feels so good to the touch. I highly recommend this, and I think it might still be on IDW's webpage, but this is definitely, even if you have issue number 21, I really am so glad that I got this. The next issue, the next offering is the yearbook number 1, which is essentially a reprint of Lady Doomsday. And again, the same situation with issue number 21. GI Joe number 1, a 9.8 newsstand grade. I have a 9.0 that I featured. I mean, a 9.8 is up to the couple thousand of dollars, and it's getting way out of a lot of people's price range. So again, this is a very, very good option. Again, the same high gloss paper, just it feels good. It looks so wonderful. And again, I like some of the original artwork for the covers. I think that was a nice, it is a complete reprint, but the covers are different. So it adds a little bit of extraness to picking this up. Okay, the next bonus offering that occurred was a reprint of issue number 26 and 27s detailing Snake Eye's origin. Obviously, we had the movie that just came out, and again, you get that wonderful paper, 2 issues in 1, 2 very important issues. And again, the same problem. These 2 issues have skyrocketed in value. So this is an excellent alternative to get. Plus, in that high paper, like I mentioned, it's just a beautiful presentation. IDW has knocked all of these out of the park. And you asked, why are they doing that? Well, it shows how IDW is committed to GI Joe as a franchise. They didn't just acquire the license to just, have it. They're actually putting the work and effort, and it starts from the top. Everyone knows that Larry Hama, he's GI Joe of everything. But in the background, in the administrative office of IDW, the GI Joe team that works in there, I gotta give my hat to them. They work so hard. They are all fans. They've all been to JoeCon. They have appeared in many other social medias, contributing to this brand, iconic brand. And they're all supporting this Snake Eyes origin movies. Yes, everybody knows it's different. I'm going to add another thing. In my last issue, I talked about my reaction to the Snake Eyes origin movies. And I said I enjoyed the movie. I understood it had its, it's not the same as the GI Joe we grew up with, but at the same time, we should be a little bit more open, just like the 12-inch guys were when A Real American Hero came out. And I want to add one more thing that I kind of wrote on the comment of the last episode, and that this criticism isn't the same as Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe, where Kevin Smith talked about He-Man and did a switcheroo where Teela was the main focus. I have no problems with Teela, but I think that he kind of misled the fan base, and He-Man was reduced to a kind of a side character than the He-Man that we grew up knowing in Filmation. But it's different with this G.I. Joe Origins. Yes, the whole backstory is somewhat different. But again, you have to understand how the complete story is going to unfold in this new iteration. And let's be honest, even though it's different, this is more the G.I. Joe we grew up with. Is more different, even though it's different, I mean, you have the same names, the Snake Eyes, they're fighting Cobra, all that stuff. They're band of diversity coming together to good. It's not like a radically different change that is occurring. Yes, maybe these parts are a little bit different. And the fact is, this is a beginning act in what will hopes to be a complete story. And right off the bat, I'm going to say this. The Snake Eyes origin movie is better than any of the Disney Star Wars movies. Yes, I despise what Disney did to Luke, Leia, and Han. So right off the bat, I'm telling you right now, maybe The Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi, it beat that. Rise of Skywalker, Snake Eyes Origins is better than that. So in that sense, I still think, there may be detractors or what have you, but you should support this because I want to see where this story goes. If we gave 3 movies to that nonsense, we owe it to this iteration to give it at least a few more movies before we make a final judgment. I would like to know about Snake Eyes, his father used to be a Joe. I mean, yes, it's different, but hey, it might work. We don't know. We got to see how this story unfolds. And to abandon it or to criticize it before the second and third act and the story, you're not getting the complete picture. But to introduce the whole concept and how things are going to work, I think that's what this movie was supposed to do. It isn't a one shot, It's a one-part act in a continuing thing. So you have to give it a little bit patience. Alright, so I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I do my normal recaps. And we're going to actually look through this. And so just to further illustrate what I'm talking about. Again, the cover price went up $1, but it used to be $4.99 for these. But, I mean, it's worth it. It's just worth it because of the, how much, whatever the type of quality that they put into these reprints exceeds whatever it is. And you'll see once you get one in your hand. But again, the cover art is phenomenal. And just to talk more about the cover art, in the very back, you see a cover art process by artist Tim Lady. And I think this is phenomenal too, because it sees the thought process that goes into putting not any cover that goes into it. The sketches, the concepts that it goes on, what gets finally selected to be the cover. I mean, that in itself is intriguing to either whether you're old school fan or even a modern school comic fan, just that entire thing. And the thing is, I think this is hand drawn, like where a lot of the comics use illustrating like programs to do their drawing, but there's some people that still do it the old school way of sketching and stuff like that. And that brings a big smile to my face when I see that. When I see this, just this thought process, this effort going in, that warms my heart. So again, the paper, just the feeling of it. And this is the iconic cover of yearbook number 2. And then they reprint it and they put it in the back, minus all the Marvel stuff, but still it's wonderfully done. It looks nice, and we have, Snake Eyes and Timber in their iconic version 2, Ripcord, Lady J, Roadblock, and Torpedo. Very nice cover. No, so this was actually a original story for yearbook number 2, featuring primarily the October Guard. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and they're trying to steal a laser and smuggle it back to Russia. And again, it's just nice, a big smile, a nice late 80s, 90s GIJoe artwork. I mean, you could tell from the Baroness, she kind of has like that somewhat Asian look, I want to say, and that was she kind of was known for during the time, during the comic run. And again, the artwork is just phenomenal. It's just, I mean, I have this, but it's just nice to have it in this presentation. And to sometimes you get comics and then it's in your box, your short box, and you don't really pull it out. But when something like this comes around, it makes you revisit it again and be like, oh, okay, yeah. Look at that. It makes you appreciate what it was at the time. So, and this is when GIJoe was at the zenith. 1986, think about it. I mean, 1987's You know, the toys are they're probably out probably around when this came out. Let me think. I think the 87 toy line may or may not have been out. But again, it's just a very, very important time. The zenith of G.I. Joe was when this special issue came out. And just like in yearbook number 2, they reprinted a recap of G.I. Joe on TV, the Sunbow series. Again, another great read, just to revisit this. And then some of the iconic advertising with the USS Flag. I mean, this is good stuff, man. And then what it does actually is it recaps some of the adventures that occurred in the last, I think this goes up to issue number 46. And I remember in the original one, they actually had all the covers from cover 1 all the way down to 46 or 43. I got it. I'll pull it up on the corner here. But yeah, that's the one thing that this is missing. All the Marvel covers that occurred. Oh, I'd be remiss to say that, again, recapping issue 26, 27, a little bit of Stalker talking about the LRC, him and Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes were together. You know, Zartan's first appearance in the comics. Then again, going more into that Snake Eyes origin story. Just a few panels from several of the issues that occurred during that span. And issue number 45, I believe, the famous Cobra Rattler, Ace and Wild Weasel's face-off. Also, Wade Collins, his CG thing, which is relevant now because we see his son Sean taking up the mantle of Snake Eyes. So it's kind of cool to see all, like, recap just a little bit of these issues. We have Billy here. I mean, just panels here and there of the past several issues that occurred. And again, we haven't got to the Cobra Civil War yet. So this is like, you know, issue 1, we have the Dr. Venom story arc. And it's, you know, there's a Soft Master. Again, it's just a wonderful presentation and a must-have. And it's tough to have this on a pull list unless you're looking for it or your LCS knows to pick it up for you. Because that's why I'm saying, like, it, you know, I did not know about any of these reissues. You know, but until like my local comic shop, like, hey, this is coming out. Let's put it on side for Shibu RU. So anyway, that's a look at yearbook number 2. And I thought this would be good to share aside from my regular comic recaps. I just think this is something, you know, all of these books. I mean, let's see, where's the other one? If you haven't gotten any of these, seriously, check out, you know, look online or, you know, ask your LCS if it's still available to order these. Because look, this one's $3.99. This is a steal for issue number 1 in this like presentation. That's 5-star right there. And of course, the Snake Eyes Saga. If you know, these prices for the original ones are just through the roof now. It might not be advantageous to try to find, you know, the Marvel issue number 21, you know, because of what's going on in the modern comic world. So these are excellent, excellent alternatives. And if you have issues with the new Snake Eyes origin movie, well, here you go. You know, you could have your cake and eat it too. You could support a new direction, but still hold on to the past a little bit. So I think this is really good. No matter what side of the fence you're on with this new Snake Eyes origin movies. I hope you are pro for it, because that's what all of this is for. It's to keep G.I. Joe alive and to introduce G.I. Joe to a new comic group. You know, since comic books, I mean, I'm watching this, guys, for all of you in the community, the trends, the what's going on, the what have yous. And it's going back to pre-90 or 1990 status during our time of the comic boom. So it is certainly going in that direction. And what better way to introduce a new generation, new readers to G.I. Joe than what's going on now. So It's kind of like a full frontal assault that IDW is doing on their end. They're holding up their end of the bargain. Hasbro's doing their end of the bargain with giving us stuff, and Paramount and Hasbro. Us fans got to do our end of the bargain. We got to support this line, you know, and don't be down on the movie. You know, be open to it. At least have a few more films to come out so we get a complete picture. You cannot, you know, write the whole story with just the first act. So that's my kind of spiel on it, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Codename New to GIJoe 2. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next. We're probably going to do a comic grading unboxing next. So that's going to be the next really exciting episode of Codename New to GIJoe 2. So we'll see what comics I got back and what grades they were assigned to. So stay tuned for that. This is Shibu RU signing off.